Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. Man, they go by fast, don't they? Hope you guys also had a great, oh gosh, what was it? Valentine's Day on Friday. So that's why we didn't stream on Friday. Everybody was out celebrating Valentine's Day with their significant others. So hope you guys had a great time there. Not much happened over the weekend as far as miners obviously are concerned. They weren't trading or anything like that. We did have some trading on Friday. We'll take a look at what happened there today. We'll also take a look at the miners, how they performed against Bitcoin last week. We'll look at miners against each other for January. Which one came in as the top dog? We have a new one actually. We haven't seen this one pop up here and probably ever, I think, since we started doing this. So this is kind of interesting. So we got a new number one miner for a month. What else will we take a look at? Oh, we'll look at the cycles also. We'll take a look at the 2017 cycle for Bitcoin, right? The rally up to that. We'll also look at the cycle for 2021. And then we'll look at where we are right now. So we'll do that probably in the beginning of the show, and then we'll get into everything else towards the end, as always, and we'll get into the Q&A after that. All right, so let's get into it here. You guys know, got to do this every time, right? Not financial advice, for entertainment only. Do your own research. Full disclosure, full disclosure below that. If you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. And let's take a look at what we got going on here with Bitcoin and the miners over the Friday, and we'll get into everything else as well. So Bitcoin over the weekend, it's acting up a little bit here. It's down, obviously, on Sunday. It was down approximately 1.5%. It was up just barely on Saturday, 0.09%. On Friday, we had a better day. We were up 0.91%. We went up above our 100 simple day moving average, or got to that line, or the 50 simple day moving average, sorry. And then we fell back down. We closed at 97,509. And so we're still trading sideways. I mean, that's nothing new here. Bitcoin is trading sideways. We may go up and down a little bit here, but more or less, when we look at where we are today, we're back to where we were basically like last week, right? Saturday, Friday, prior to that as well. And we're just treading water. We're trading sideways on it. So that's where we are. The miners, for the most part, were in the red. On Friday, MicroStrategy was in the green here. Bitfarms was up a little bit, 1%, 1.4. BitDeer was down. Cypher was up 1.3. Cleanspark was down 1.5. CORZ was down just a quarter. Hive was down 0.35. Hut 8 was flat on the day. IREN was down 0.54. Mara was down 0.06. Riot was up a little bit, 0.33. And then Wolf was down 0.41. And Wolf, we'll probably put them into maybe the smaller miners or something like that. They're not going to be providing their monthly updates anymore, so we'll take them out. I'm already starting to take them out of my spreadsheets as it is going forward. And what else do we have here? Some of the ETFs were up, some were down. Nothing major happening there. So that's it on Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners for Friday. Now, let's take a look at the cycles that we had here previously. So 2017, 2021, and now where we are basically in this cycle, 2025 cycle. So if we look at 2017 cycle here, how did that one play out? Well, that one was like the, how would I put this? It's kind of what we would expect out of a cycle for Bitcoin, right? A nice parabolic rise going into towards the end of the year here. So like 2017, towards the end of the year. So we would expect the same thing to happen in 2021, also in 2025. But this is on the weekly timeline here. We can see here was the halving event that happened back in May, roughly somewhere around there. And then you can see that Bitcoin was kind of trading sideways more or less for a pretty long time here, all the way through probably like, I'd say October, and then into October started to go up a little bit here of 2016, right? We started to go up a little bit more here into March. So kind of right around where we are right now. Maybe what we can do is zoom in on that time frame and see how that has actually shaped up. So here's February, right, which is kind of where we are right now, February 17th. We can see that we were up from where that time frame, from the halving event up to the 17th of February here, we were up about 94%, right? Okay, so not too bad. 94% gains from the halving event, so that's pretty good. Where are we in comparison to our current cycle on this? Well, let's take a look at it here. So if we look at our halving event here, we definitely had a different halving event because we had a new all-time high before the halving event happened here. But let's just take a look at to see where we are right now in comparison. So let's go from right around there to where we are right now. We are up 51%. So we're definitely down from 2017. If we look at the high here that we reached already, we're up 70%, so pretty close, right? We're not up close to 100%, but we're close to that. So there's 2017 cycle through now, and then after that, what happened after that? Well, from February 17th, we went on a nice, well, we had a dip here into March, and then we started going back up here through the rest of the year, and we ended up at approximately, well, that's not the end of it though, right there. So we ended up right over here. There we go. Okay. We went up another 1,574% from there. So a lot of gains were happening after that time frame. Kind of where we are right now. Could we still see those types of gains of 1,574%? I doubt it. I think just because Bitcoin price is so much higher where it is, we don't need it to go percentage-wise that high. We can go $100,000 more, $150,000 more, whatever it might be, and we will still have really good gains based on just the dollar value itself. The dollar value at those points was much lower, right? We were talking about Bitcoin being around $2,000 or $1,000. It went up to 19,000, almost 20,000. That's going to be huge gains here, but that's only a gain of what, 18,000, 17,000 or something like that. And we can do that now. We do that on a day, sometimes on a daily basis, where we have a swing of $10,000. So it's a different story altogether, but the gains are possibly still there. Next, let's take a look at the 2021 cycle. This one was a little bit different too, because we had a double top on Bitcoin here. Let me zoom this out a little bit here so you guys can see that. Here's a double top. We had the halving event happening here in, again, it was right around May the 18th, something like that. And from there to where we are right now, let's go to, let's see here. We went through February. We're in February here, February 21st, January 21st. We're looking at this on the weekly, February 1st, February 8th. Okay, so up to here. So we had a nice rally here from the halving event. So let's go from basically down here to here. We had 557% gains in that cycle. Right, we had a regular pre-halving cycle where Bitcoin was going down. It wasn't going up to new all-time highs in 2021. So we had a nice gain there. I think if we didn't have those gains pre-halving cycle this time around in 2024, right, where Bitcoin went to new all-time high before the halving, if we didn't have that, I think we would have better gains here happening after the halving cycle. But because we got the ETFs, everything else, more adoption, we kind of front run the halving event a little bit than we've never done before in the past. So that's something to keep in mind as well. From that, this was back in February. So in 2021, we went up a little bit more here before we started to come down. Why did we come down? We came down because of China banning Bitcoin mining. That spread the FUD. We also had Elon Musk and company there, Tesla, say they're no longer going to accept Bitcoin for their vehicles. That dropped the market even more. On Bitcoin, we had a retracement of approximately, what was it, like 50%, I think, at one point. All the way down to the bottom, yeah, it was 55% because of that. We rallied back above it, right, towards the end of the year, starting in basically July of 2021, and we went back up to 69,000 roughly, and that was another 135% gains there. So in all, we had really good gains here from the bottom to the top. We were up approximately 698% on Bitcoin. So where does that put us in this cycle? That still leaves us with possibly more gains to happen here. That's why I don't believe that this cycle is over yet. I don't believe that everything is accounted for, I guess you could say, or being what's the word I'm looking for? There's a word I'm looking for, but I'm drawing a blank. But you guys know what I mean. I don't believe this is still the end of it. There's just too much negativity right now. There's not enough euphoria in the market. I think a lot of people are bearish on not only Bitcoin, the miners, MicroStrategy now even, all things considered. I remember people back in November for MicroStrategy, right? People were talking about when MicroStrategy was here at right around November at 543,000, and it's going to $1,000 and everything else. I'm like, well, at that point I was saying it's a little overheated compared to where Bitcoin is. It front ran Bitcoin tremendously. They needed a little pullback, and sure enough, we got a pullback on it. And people are now, I mean, those people that were saying that you're crazy, it's not going to happen, it's going to 1,000. Well, those guys are pretty quiet right now as it is. But I still think there's more room to run for MicroStrategy even, right? But I believe that the miners going forward will actually outperform MicroStrategy because of the simple fact of them generating more revenue, being larger, hitting scale, all those things go into play here. Now, when is this all going to take shape or take place? That I don't know, right? We're still at the middle of the cycle here right now. I mean, we're trading sideways right now. We got this wedge that we're kind of dealing with here currently. We'll see if we can break out of this wedge. And this kind of points us to possibly sometime in March where we could possibly break out of this and then go forward. All right. Like I said, there's still a lot of good things happening. A lot of states are looking to do either SBR or doing something with Bitcoin. Other nation states are buying. Sovereign wealth funds are buying it. You got universities buying it. You got companies buying it. You got pension funds buying it. There's just a lot of things happening here with Bitcoin that just leads me to believe that there's more for us to run up higher, right? And it could be where it's just one of those things where it goes up relatively quickly here. If you just look at where we were back in beginning of November here, right? Bitcoin was at 68,000 at that point. And what did we do after that point? Well, we had the election, everything else, and Bitcoin went up approximately 60% in a matter of 43 trading days. So it can definitely run up quickly when it wants to. Right now, I mean, we're kind of seeing the same thing that we saw earlier on after the halving event. What happened here? We were in an accumulation phase for a long time, unfortunately. We didn't know where things were going to go, but if you look at it here, before we started to run back up, it was basically 175 days since for that time, right? Right now, if you look at the line here, like close to 100,000 here, if we look at this part, going back to roughly where we came close to it was back in November of the 22nd. We are so far in it for approximately, what is that, 88 days on it. So that's kind of the accumulation phase that we're in right now. When will that break out? I don't know. But I imagine it's going to break out here within the next couple of weeks, couple of months. It's going to have to break out, and then we're going to probably end up going much higher. Where we're going to go exactly to, I'm guessing probably north of 150,000 before we have a pullback a little bit, do some more accumulation. Then we go, you know, it seems that this cycle is a little bit more different. It's more like a step, combination of steps. So you go up a little bit, you basically go up a couple steps, you go flat for a while, then you go back up another couple more steps instead of being that parabolic rise that we've seen here before. But if we look out on the month or the weekly chart here, we can see that we've had this kind of parabolic rise here a little bit. It's not what we would normally expect. We would normally expect it to go up much higher from here, right? If we look at it over here, this is the prior cycle in 2021, right? Nice rally up here. We kind of saw that here a little bit, but we still need to go up a little bit more, I think, based on just the percentage gains compared to those other cycles. If you look at this cycle back here in 2017, right, look at that one. That's a nice parabolic rise. We still haven't seen really seen that kind of a rise in it. So that's why I think we are still going to be just fine. We just need to be patient and, you know, yeah, just be patient. That's all I can really say. Is looking at the other cycles and everything else, I think we're okay. We're in the middle of this. We're not done with it yet. The sky's not falling yet. And the economy's not crashing yet. We don't have a recession, all that stuff. I hear a lot of people talking about that as well. Personally, I just don't see it. You know, I see what's going on around me in the area that I live, and you know, restaurants are still fully packed. People are buying new houses, new cars, and I mean, they're still living life. They're, you know, doing everything that they can to keep going forward. So it's not the end of the world yet. But when will that happen? I don't know. But I think the best is still yet ahead of us. Okay. All right. So that's it on where the cycles were in the past and where we are right now. If we look at Bitcoin here for the month of February here so far, we're down 5.84%. We got basically how many more days to go in February here? Another 12 more days or so to go. We'll see where we end up, if we're going to end up in the green or if we're going to end up in the red. I'm hoping we end up in the green, but right now, we're not too far off from being in the green. So I still think it's possible. We'll see where it ends up though. All right, let's take a look at a couple of things that we do have to talk about, which is the miners versus Bitcoin here this past week. And as always, when we look at this, we look at the miners, how have they done from their last 52-week lows and from their how far away they are from their 52-week highs here. So the red bars here are the miners from their 52-week lows. How have they appreciated in price since then? And you can see that we got quite a few that have outperformed Bitcoin here. CORZ especially, CORZ up 380% roughly. BitTF up 215%, IREN 213%, HUT is up 200%, right? And then Cypher is up 128%, Bitcoin's up only 100%, so you got quite a few of these guys that have outperformed Bitcoin here, at least 2x, if not 3x, almost 4x. Then you got Riot up 93% here, Hive only 30%, Cleanspark 30%, Marathon 28%, and Bitfarms 10%. These guys have been laggards here this past year. Right, if you got into them this past year sometime, you probably got in towards the higher end of it or towards the higher levels. You're probably not too happy right now. You're probably pretty disgusted with the miners, and you're getting ready to capitulate, and the big guys, institutions, are buying your shares basically, because those guys continue to stack on more shares as time goes on. They're relenting. And I've been buying as much as I can also, and probably looking to buy some more later on this week maybe as well. But that's how the miners have stacked up here. You can see that Cleanspark's still 57% away from its 52-week high. Bitfarms is 63%. Marathon's 50%. Hive is 48%. And everybody else, you can see that as well, how they have all stacked up here on that. Okay, now for the weekly performance here, we can see that Bitcoin is only up 3%. So it was actually not a bad week for Bitcoin. But you had IREN and Riot outperform Bitcoin here a little bit. And then Cypher, Marathon, Hive, Bitfarms, CORZ, BitDeer, Hut, and Cleanspark have underperformed Bitcoin here this past week. Especially surprising for Cleanspark having really good numbers. When was it? The week prior when they reported their quarterly results. And the stock is still down, so it is what it is. But that one's down 7% here from last week. On the 4 weeks, things change a little bit more for us here. Bitcoin at that point is down 6%. The only one that has outperformed it is basically Cypher being up 3%, IREN only being down 2%, and everybody else has underperformed here with CORZ being down 22%, Hut being down 21%, BitDeer down 20%, Marathon down 15% as well. You can see that from 8 weeks ago, things changed up again. Bitcoin's up 5% from 8 weeks ago, and then you got basically Riot, IREN, and Cypher outperforming, along with Cleanspark here from 8 weeks ago. BitDeer being down quite a bit here, down 30% from 8 weeks ago. Everybody else, how that stacks up. And then 12 weeks, it's another wild ride here. Bitcoin's up 2%. The only one that's done better is BitDeer, actually 16% up. So if you bought back then, you're doing good with BitDeer. But everybody else, you're probably pretty miserable right now with some of these guys like Marathon, Hive, Bitfarms, CORZ, Hut 8, even Cleanspark as well. And then some of the ones that haven't done that bad are like Riot, IREN, and Cypher as well. So that is it on that one. And then you can see here that this past week we had a mixed week with the miners, some in the red, some in the green, some flat basically for the week. Prior week was similar to that. Prior to that, we had a red week, and then mixed week, a green week, all red, all green, 2 weeks in the red. So you can see how that has played out here recently on that. All right. So that is it on just a quick review on the miners, see how they did against Bitcoin here. Next, let's take a look at the miners for January performance, and we're basically comparing them all to each other, and we're looking to see which ones are like the top 5, which one's the top 1 actually that came in. And surprisingly, we have a new top 1 here for the month of January. It's the first time that they've been a top 1, number 1 position here. So here's what we look at. We look at month-over-month hash rate growth, BTC percentage sold, BTC per exahash efficiency, BTC mined, days mined, current hash rate, and HODL. That's for the whole 8. And then we take out HODL and current hash rate for the 6 metrics we do, 8 and 6 metrics, just to look at more so on the operations. And some of these guys have huge HODL and hash rate as well. So we try to take that out as well and just look at operations, how they operated. So month-over-month percentage hash rate growth, higher is obviously better here. Bitfarms came in actually number 1 here for it, 18.75% growth in hash rate, followed by Riot at 6.49, then Cleanspark 2.57, and BitDeer 2.3. Mara, Cypher, IREN, Hive were basically flat for the month. CORZ was actually down 3.14%, and Hut was down 8.13%. Current hash rate, Mara is number 1, right? 53 exahash, followed by Cleanspark now at 40 exahash, Riot at 33, IREN at 31, and CORZ at 18. Those are the top 5 there, and you can see how everybody else stacked up there. BTC per exahash efficiency, higher is better. Hive came in at number 1, 16.89, so that was really good, followed by IREN at 16.8, and then you got Cypher at 16.2, Riot at 15.71, and Cleanspark at 15.61, so those are the top 5 there, and then you can see how everybody else stacks down below. Then you got month-over-month BTC mined percentage here. Riot was the only one that came out positive, 2.13% increase over the prior month. Hive was down just a little bit here, 0.97. IREN was down 1.51. Bitfarms was down 4.74. Cleanspark was down 6.29. Those are the top 5 there. And then you got Cypher, CORZ, BitDeer, Mara, and Hut 8 being down. Hut being down the most, along with Mara 15%. All right, BTC mined here. Mara came in number 1. with 750, followed by Cleanspark 626, then Riot at 527, and IREN 521, along with Core. So those are the top 5 there. Then you got Cypher, Bitfarms, BitDeer, Hive, and Hut 8 down towards the bottom there. Days mined here, we got Hive coming in at number 1 with 28.84, followed by IREN at 28.69, then Cypher at 27.7, Riot at 27.26, and Cleanspark at 26.82. Those are the top 5 there for mining in January. January had 31 days. Those guys, well, the first 2 guys were really close. Some of the other guys had curtailment because of weather, things like that. That's the reason for it. And you got the rest down below that. And now getting into the HODL position here. Mara has the biggest HODL position, right? 45,659. Riot at 18,221. Cleanspark at 10,156. So they overtook Hut 8 now. Hut's got 10,208. Then Hive 2,657. So those are the top 5 there. Anybody else down below there? Then you got BTC percentage sold. How much did they sell? It looks like Bitfarms didn't sell. I think they actually got coins back from their secured loans for the miners, so they got some Bitcoin added onto it. BitDeer 3.2, they also added more. Mara added more as well, 2.2. Core was basically flat. They basically hodled everything that they got there. Cleanspark only sold 3.5, so those are the top 5, followed by Riot at 5.3. Then you got Hut selling 43%, IREN selling 100%. Cypher actually sold more than they mined, 215%, and Hive also sold quite a bit there, 245% of what they mined there. So based on all those, right, look at all the metrics, total metric scores here. Based on the 8 metrics and the 6 metrics, here is how everything has stacked up. And what do you guys think came in at number 1, right? Historically, it's been like between Cleanspark and Marathon. This is a brand new number 1 here for the month of January here. So congrats to drumroll and Riot. Riot came in with 25 points, followed by Cleanspark at 30 points, Mara at 35 points, IREN at 38, and Bitfarms at 39. Those are the top 5 for the total 8 metrics here for all those. And then when we look at the 6 metrics without HODL or current hash rate, Riot still came in at number 1 with 20 points, followed by IREN at 24 points, Cleanspark at 25 points, Bitfarms at 27, and Hive at 28. Those are the top 5 there on those. And you can see how everybody else has stacked up based on that. So congrats to Riot. They came in at number 1. Their operations have been improving, which is good to see. Right? Definitely a surprise for me when I was running the numbers. Like, wow, Riot actually came in. Riot historically was in the past, like in the middle or towards the end because of their operations and downtime, or not having really good operational uptime. So Riot came in really good. You can see here by the minor individual metric scores how they scored on all these things. They were basically below. The average is like 6, right? So if you're below that on a lot of these things, you're going to do well, which they were. You can see that. Then you got Cleanspark also below a lot of these, no 81 position or first places on that. Then you got Mara here, kind of high on some of those things, right? BTC per exahash, days mined, and month-over-month BTC mined percentage. Then you got IREN here, kind of high. Well, they don't have a HODL position. BTC sold, they sold everything that they mined there. So everything else was good there on their scores. Bitfarms, a little kind of average to above average a little bit on it. Hive, good on some things, not so good on other things. So that's the way you get scored. Cypher, also kind of average across the board, a little high on some things, but still really good. Then you got Core here, more or less average across the board. BitDeer, average to high a little bit. And then Hut 8, above average on a lot of the stuff, which that's not good, right? You don't want to be above average, you want to be below average on these things. And then when we look at the metrics for the last 12 months of me scoring these things, what is the average and who is the number 1 there based on the last 12 months on average? Well, we still have the same one that has been kind of dominating here for the past 12 months or so, Cleanspark. Based on the 8 metrics over the last 12 months, Cleanspark came in with an average score of 26 here, followed by Marathon, Riot, IREN, and Hive. Those are the top 5 over the last 12 months. If we look at the 6 metrics here, we got Cleanspark, IREN, Hive, Mara, and Bitfarms. Those are the top 5 there over the last 12 months as well on that. So I like looking at this, just seeing how they compare to each other over the monthly and then over the last 12 months, just to see if things are changing on it. And then TeraWolf, I'm getting rid of TeraWolf. I gotta get rid of them on this chart as well. But I just wanted to show where TeraWolf, I don't think they're 99. I think I've actually put them at a 99 score here because we're getting rid of them. So I would just remember to do that. So yeah, disregard TeraWolf there completely. But here's the raw data. that I track. Lower scores is better than higher scores here. Total metrics for all the 6 metrics as well. And then we go down here and look at the last 12 months, total average, what that accounts for. So that's kind of how we are grading them. Okay, so I go all the way back here to basically January of 2023 with all of these guys. A lot of data on these things. Okay, so again, congrats to Riot coming in as the new number 1 for the month of January. We'll see if they can continue to hold that position here in February as well. And yeah, we'll see if we get another maybe new number 1 here happening in February and March, but we'll see. But that is it on all this stuff. So my little sales pitch here. Patreon members, my dear Patreon members, thank you for your support. Link for Patreon membership is down in the description. If you want access to all these spreadsheets, which I provide you guys there, it's $8 a month if you want to join up there. And you might be able to find a couple spots that are open for like $5 and $4. So that's my sales pitch. That's the only thing I sell to you guys in my spreadsheets. As you guys know, I don't do any paid sponsorships or anything like that. So your support is what's allowing me to do this. So I greatly appreciate it. All right, let's get into the Q&A side of things here. See what you guys have questions on or comments or anything like that. And we'll call it a day. So we're going on about 25 minutes or 26 minutes already as it is. Should be pretty short and sweet here. I like it. So let's take a look at what we got going on here. As always, if you guys could preface your questions with a question mark, I'm going to scroll my way up and work my way down. So bear with me and we'll work our way down. Alrighty, let's see here. All right. Menu has a question here. Hi, Seb. Have you had a chance to look at Fintel list of funds shorting Cleanspark? Are these different institutions than ones holding long positions? So Fintel, I looked at Fintel. I did not do a comparison though. I just looked at it really quick. I will look at it more in detail when I have a little bit more time. So that is on my to-do list. Okay, let's see here. Cobra says ETF has changed the 4-year cycle. I'm starting to think the same thing possibly. It'll be interesting to see how this cycle plays out, whether or not we top out at September, October, November sometime this year or not, or if we continue to go into 2026 even. That will be definitely interesting to see there. Let's see here. Hi Seb, question, are we all tricked by electing a criminal? I regret voting for him because he will crash the markets by doing his drastic policies like tariffs and layoffs. Will you sell all if BTC drops to 75,000? No, 75,000 would be actually like a typical pullback that we would see in Bitcoin going down 30% roughly. So at 75,000 would not be a sell motivation for me at that point. But we'll see what happens. Definitely market is a little spooked right now with everything that's going on. But in time, I think things will kind of smooth out a little bit, right? Right now, it's just a lot of news, a lot of stuff that's happening. And in time, it will even out. He's trying to get a lot of stuff done here recently. I think a lot of the stuff that he is doing is good. Doge, I think, is good. Other things that he's doing, some things I'm on the fence on. Some things I'm okay with, some things I'm not okay with. But, it is what it is. You're never going to get somebody that's going to be 100% the way you want them to be or act the way you want them to be, regardless of the party that they're a part of. So you got to take the good with the bad a little bit sometimes. Let's see. Enon says, wow, just had a weird Sailor ad for MicroStrategy. Well, you can pay me in BTC. I'll be fine with that. Let's see. All right, what else we got here? Okay, here we go. Hello, Seb. Can you put MicroStrategy on your miner versus Bitcoin chart if it is not too much trouble? Of course, thanks. So on your, like the 52-week from the bottom to the top or something like that, is that what you mean? Like on some of the charts that I do? Let me know which charts you'd want to see that on. You can definitely put it on there if it makes it easier for you guys, if you guys enjoy that. All right. Should HODL drive a premium for miner valuations? Is it because they can use HODL to generate a yield in future? Well, there's, I would say, probably 2 schools of thought with that. Some people believe that the miners should get at least a 2x premium on the HODL that they have. JP Morgan analyst, or I think it's analyst, has stated that they should get like a 2x premium. I don't know if that's fair there. I mean, I can understand it, especially if you think Bitcoin's going to go from, let's say right now, 100,000 to 200,000. Okay, that's basically a 2x gains, right? But my idea is, okay, if it gets close, starts getting closer to 200,000, you probably don't want to still value that at a 2x premium on top of it. So you kind of want to pull that premium down as Bitcoin price is going up, depending where you think Bitcoin's going to go. So I don't think it's a continual 2x. I don't think that would be right. MicroStrategy typically does get like a 2x, right, premium on Bitcoin. For the most part, sometimes it front runs it even more, gets like to a 3x, maybe a 3.5x or something like that. But then it typically does pull back. So I think that's where that's coming from. So I do think you should get some kind of a premium on it if you believe Bitcoin's going up. But maybe 2x might be a little too high. I would say maybe a 1.5x, something like that. Okay, all right, you can probably do that. But that's just kind of my thoughts on it. I could be wrong on it. Okay, next one here. Hi, Seb. I am curious to know why would hedge funds try to short these mining stocks instead of buying them riding with BTC? It's not that they are making much profits on the short position. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm not a big investor, or I don't have a lot of experience with investment vehicles and things that they might do things where they go long one thing and hedge their bets going short on another thing. They do things for a reason typically, and that's why they're doing it. I'm not sure why, but eventually I think they will let them run. When? I don't know. I wish I knew. All right. Let's see. Ronald Stevenson says, hello, Seb. Long time no see. Thanks for another great show. Cheers. Thank you so much. Yeah, thanks for coming in. All right. Hi, Seb. Question, are the miners still a good buy if they keep on going down while BTC maintains its upward trend? Should have invested in BTC instead of miners. Well, I always say maybe I don't say it often enough, but you really want to have Bitcoin as well as the Bitcoin miners like MicroStrategy. You don't want to be just in one vehicle, sort of say. I've got Bitcoin that I've held on to since 2017. I've got, I'm invested in miners definitely because I thought the miners were going to do really well in comparison to Bitcoin, a proxy, right? That has played out. Well, some miners have done better than others, right? The ones that I thought were going to do really well have not so much yet, so that's why I think they still might run here in the future, but time will tell. MicroStrategy has definitely done better than some of the miners have in the past probably 52 weeks to maybe even more than that. But if you got into miners like towards the bottom in December of 2022, you're probably doing pretty good. If you're dollar cost averaging into them from 2022 onwards, you're probably doing pretty good as well. If you bought them basically this past year when they reached new highs, sort of, well, I wouldn't say new highs, but reached higher valuations and have since come down, you're probably pretty upset, rightfully so, right? You got in a little higher, now they're down, so now you're kind of kicking yourself in the rear, asking the questions, when will they actually go back up? So that's why I like dollar cost averaging, because I just don't know where the bottom is. I don't know exactly where the top is going to be, but I do believe the top is still not here. We're still a ways away from having the top on these things. All right, let's take a look at the next one here. All right, question. S&P seasonality for 20 years shows the market drops from mid-February until the first third of March, and then sharply rises until early May. Do you think BTC tracks with this? I mean, it seems like it right now, right? I mean, we had an okay January for Bitcoin. February is not looking too good, but historically February has been pretty good for us. So it's kind of like go figure for Bitcoin, unless Bitcoin's tracking more like the S&P 500. If we look at it, well, we're looking at the historical Bitcoin performance here, and historically February has been a really good month for us. Now, with all the adoption from institutions and everything else, could that change to where it follows more the S&P 500? Yeah, I guess that could be the case for it, right? That could be the reason why we're seeing maybe a February that's down right now when historically it would be up, or at least for the large part it would be up. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. And based on the triangle that we're seeing here on the wedge happening right now on Bitcoin here, that kind of coincides with what you're saying, that maybe in March is when we start actually running up here. All right, we got a couple more days here to go through February, which February ends right there, 28th. So right there is the new month of March. So could we break out of that and then go? Possibly. We'll have to wait and see. anything is possible. We'll have to wait and see. Right now, right now we're in just an accumulation phase. We're trading sideways with Bitcoin for the last 80-some days. So we'll have to wait, maybe a little bit more. All right, go back here. Trying to find, let me see, another question here. Okay. All right. Can Hive double from where it is now by Q1 end? By the end of this quarter? Bitcoin would have to go up 50% or more in order for that to happen possibly. So I'm not saying it's out of the question, but you need Bitcoin to go up at that point. All right, what else we got here? All right. Seb, are the institutions shorts the only reason the miners are underperforming? It does appear that way. I don't think we've also had a lot of retail. I think it's more driven by institutions right now. Institutions are still buying into them, which is surprising, right? I mean, they're shorting them, but they're also buying them. So go figure there. They're doing both things. And the next catalyst is going to be Bitcoin going to 150,000, 175,000, whatever it's going to be. I think that's going to be the next catalyst to drive them up. I thought the quarterly results were going to be the catalyst, but we saw IREN actually provide pretty good numbers, right? Cleanspark, same thing with the revaluation of FSB. Hive, same thing so far. And the stocks, Cleanspark had an okay day. It was up 18%, but then gave back those gains in the next couple of trading sessions. So go figure. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Unfortunately, patience, like I said, but I don't think we're done yet. Ready. Would you rather buy Riot or Mara right now? Good question. I think Mara might, well, I need to see their quarterly results, see how they did for the quarter Q4, just to see where their costs are right now, being at pretty much 50 exahash. Did they lower their costs on mining, overhead, things like that? And then I could possibly make a decision based on that. But right now, Riot is basically halting any further growth with Bitcoin mining. They're going into HPCI, or at least looking for customers there. They have activist investors there as well, changing the board around, things like that. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do going forward. With anything that's HPC AI, I'm guessing it's going to be at least, maybe optimistically, maybe a year and a half before they build out anything that could, support any kind of revenue there from HPC AI. So that's a ways out. And by that time, the cycle might be over if it's a regular cycle that we've had before. So I just don't know. And I don't even know what Mara's growth plan is going to be for this year. We don't know if they're going to be growing to 75 exahash later on this year or 100 exahash later on this year. Don't know any of that. So we'd like to see what their growths are as well for both of those companies. Well, we kind of know what Mara's or Riot's is going to be. Okay. Let's see. Question. Trump tariffs are tactics, not taxes. Well, they're taxes in other countries, but basically it is like a tactic. He's using that as as a stick, I guess you could say, to whack them with it, high taxes or high tariffs, and then get concessions and things like that, and they bring it back down to what he wants. So we'll see where that goes. Okay. Where will Bitfarms go during this cycle with, let's put in a scenario where they will roll out with their plans, said Ben. So if they do, they're supposed to get to now, 18 exahash, I think, by the end of the first half here. They're supposed to be buying out Stronghold. I would like to see more growth from just what we were seeing here. I don't know. It's going to be tough with them. Bitcoin going up is definitely going to help. Can they still do at least a 2 to 3x? I think so. It's just we need Bitcoin to go up to 200,000, something like that. But yeah, it's not easy. All right, can Coinbase 2x or 3x from here? It is now. How has Coin done against Bitcoin here? Let's take a look at that. Let's see, we got Bitcoin here. Let me pull up Coin really quick. Coinbase will add that on top of it as the same as percentage of scale. Let's go over here, screen. Let's see how has it fared against Bitcoin here this past, let's go back to maybe since the halving. Let's see, how are we doing here? Since the halving is right there. Okay. So Bitcoin's actually outperforming Coin here. Coin's up 28%. Bitcoin's up 50% from the halving event. What if we look at it from the bottom here? Let's see where we bottomed out. This was right around here in December of 2022, right? So let's scroll that over from the bottom. How have they done from the bottom? From the bottom, here we go. So now we got coin being up 649%, Bitcoin's up 485% from the bottom. Could it still 2x? If Bitcoin still goes up 2x, right, from where it's at to 200 some thousand, 250,000, whatever it might be, could they still 2x? If they do 2x, oh man, that might be possible. I'm not saying it's not possible. I would say maybe 1.5x to 2x would be doable. I would think if Bitcoin goes up, another nice run up here on that one. It might follow Bitcoin a little bit more closely because it has gotten a little bit above it. Not too much, but it has gotten above it a little bit. It's basically, what is it, a 1.5x on Bitcoin right now as it is. So that's kind of where I would maybe look to see where that's at. All right, let's go back here. All right, let's see here. It's said I meant in the charts comparing the miners so we can compare MicroStrategy performance against the miners and Bitcoin as well. Oh, so like the weekly charts, right, where we look at the performance of the miners compared to Bitcoin, put MicroStrategy in there as well. You're talking about, I could do that. We could put it in as a comparison to see how that one's doing compared to the miners. That won't be too bad. I will put that on my to-do list. Sorry. Bear with me while I write this down because I will forget. Okay. Add MSTR to weekly. All right, that might be a fun comparison. We can do that. All right, got it in here, my to-do list. Oh, okay. All right, there's that. Okay, what else we got here? Okay, question. Didn't Cleanspark say they will buy back their shares? Can that trigger a short squeeze? It could, yeah. I mean, I had a, I don't know, epiphany, a thought, whatever you want to call it. Wasn't the last show. I think it was maybe the previous show from that, but where I posed the question, what if they go and buy, their shares back with from every month, like use 10 or 20 Bitcoins to do that. Just continue to buy shares back. It's not a lot. I mean, that's 2 million roughly, right? If you do 20 Bitcoin, that's 2 million roughly. 2 million, yeah. $2 million worth of shares each month. I mean, it adds up over time, but maybe that would be enough. Who knows? All right, question here. Tariff talk every single day, hot PPI, hot CPI, horrible Jerome Powell press conference, and yet Bitcoin keeps hovering around mid-90s. Can we interpret anything from that? Adoption. Bitcoin is still in a accumulation phase. Yeah, I mean, it's not being phased by it that much, right? Which is good. It's not dropping like crazy. So that's good news. Hi, some question. I have accumulated 25,000 Bitfarms, average cost of 280 and still holding. Should I sell? I can only tell what I have done. I had close to 25,000 shares as well. I'm now down to about 8,000 shares. So I've been selling on the way down, but I had a much lower average than you did. I had an average cost of $1.30, $1.40, something like that. So I was still in the green when I was selling this stuff. And the reason I sold a large portion of it is because of the continued, one, not meeting the targets. The other part of it was also now lowering their expectations as far as their hash rate growth. Wasn't a big fan of that. I like growth, and that's the reason I got into them. So when things changed, I have to change and adopt with it, right? So it wasn't something that I wanted to do, but based on what we heard, what we saw, things needed to change. So it's like, okay, I needed to pull some out of that one and put it into the other ones. But if you're at $2.80, that's definitely pretty high. So you were buying definitely in the $3 range before that as well. So you're down basically 50% roughly right now as it is. That's tough. So the question then becomes, the question that I would ask myself is, can I make that up faster in other companies, right? So if I take a 50% hit on it or something like that, can I possibly regain more in other companies? So that's a question you have to ask yourself, I think. And if whatever that answer is, that'll kind of give you a way to go. Isn't it the same institutions that offer these miners debt at 0% as far as that are shorting them as well? That I don't know for a fact. I would have to look into that. Okay. All right. Hi, Seb. If this is a longer cycle going into late 2026, which miners are you bullish on? You mentioned Cypher, BitDeer have high growth rates in 2026, for example. Thanks. Yeah, they do have high growth rates, right? Second half of 2025 into 2026 as well. So those might do pretty good there if they can continue to build out and have good growth there, whereas some of the other ones are kind of in cruise control or neutral right now because we're not seeing a lot of miners providing good updates as far as future hash rate growth is concerned right now. A lot of them are just getting to where they've stated they're going to get to before, 50 exahash for Cleanspark, IREN. Riot's pretty much pulling back a little bit, right? They're saying 38 is going to be the top where they're getting to right now. Mara, we really don't know where they're going to get to. Maybe they'll provide something in the quarterly results. And then who else? Hive we know is getting to 25 by the end of third quarter here. So there's quite a good growth there. And then like Bitfarms, we don't really know. Who else do we not know there? CORZ, we still are waiting for CORZ to get the block miners there, about 15 exahash to change out some of the older machines there. So the only ones that really do have a lot of growth is BitDeer into 2026 and Cypher. I think those are the only two right there. So those might be, if we have an extended cycle, right, those might be the ones to get into. Right, next question here. If we wake up and IREN has announced a good deal, we are looking at 30 to 40% up in a day. You're talking about HPC-AI. Yeah, I mean, if they come out with a really good deal there, yeah, we could be up. I don't know if we're going to be up 30, 40% in a day, but I would say maybe 20, 25% in a day. I could see that happening, all right, depending what kind of deal they get there. Let's see. Seb, do you know how many exahash Stronghold has currently? Last time they reported, I think, was around like 6 exahash, but part of it was also hosted. I think their own mining was only like 3 to 4 exahash of that, I think, at that point. And recently with Bitfarms putting their machines into that facility, I'm guessing that Stronghold has probably like nothing of their own, or barely any, if at all. See. All right. Hi, Seb. Question, tactics for tariffs and taxes are never good. It creates uncertainty to markets, which result in stocks going down. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. Short term, it's volatility. It's something that's not good for the markets, right? Markets like, not consistency, but markets like predictability. And when there's no predictability, they don't really like that. They do go down or it's crazy. So I agree with you there. What was the EPS for IREN and Cleanspark last report? So EPS for IREN came in at, correct me if I'm wrong here, like 8 or 9 cents. I think it was like 9 cents it came in at. And then Cleanspark was 80 some cents, right? Something like that. I'm going off the top of my head here. But that was thanks to the FSB rules there. What's the top 3 miners that you have money in right now? My top 2 are Cleanspark, followed by IREN. And then I still have a little bit of Bitfarms left. And that's it. That's all I got right now. All right. Do you think BTC will consolidate and then go up evenly over a few months, or a giant 45-day parabolic rise and then fall? I think we will have a rise like we've seen here recently, at least, going from 60-some thousand to 100,000. I think we'll have something like that, right? Within 45 days, we'll run up to 150,000, maybe 170,000, whatever it might be. Have another little bit of fall, pull back, and then go back up some more, maybe towards later on in the year. That's kind of where I would think, but we shall see. All right. Sadie, thank you so much for the likes. Bob has a question here. Hi, Seb. Do you think if a company like Bitfarms designated 50 coins from their monthly production for share buybacks, they could beat back the shorts a bit? I think there might be some, right? Something to that. I don't know if it's got to be 50 Bitcoin. I was saying 20 Bitcoin to me. Well, maybe even 50 Bitcoin wouldn't be too bad, especially for companies like Cleanspark, which are generating like close to 600 some odd Bitcoin here. 50 Bitcoin's not that much. Could it take the shorts off? Maybe, right? Give it a shot. What do they got to lose? Hi, Seb. Question, what price of BTC will convince you that we are on the bear market and it's time to sell? 50,000. If we get down to like 50,000 or something like that, that would be a time to really think about selling. 75,000, like I said before, is still within that range where Bitcoin sometimes pulls back to, right? From 108,000 down to 75,000 would be roughly a 33%, I think, 34% drop. So it would be within that tolerance, I guess you could say, for what Bitcoin has done historically. If we fall below that, that's when you start getting a little bit more worried, I guess. Let's see, what else do we have here? Okay, another question here. I said, when is Bitfarms planning to start mining in Stronghold, and then will they have the 21 exahash with the new machines put in? So if you recall, they came out with an update for January, and in there, I think they stated that they're getting to only possibly 18 exahash within the first half of the year. They're still having issues with the T21 miners from Bitmain. I don't know when that's going to get resolved, so I don't know if they're going to be getting to 21 exahash. I doubt it's going to be this first half. Maybe in the second half, maybe. As far as the miners, when they're getting in there, in the Stronghold, they're supposed to have some miners already in there, but I don't have anything concrete on it. And they're supposed to be buying out Stronghold here this quarter, so that only leaves them basically with 6 weeks left, roughly, to buy them out. So we'll see if that goes through. Okay. Why is Bitfarms still having negative FUD around the company? Well, they keep shooting themselves in the foot a little bit, right? Missing targets, now lowering their expectations as far as hash rate growth, even into this first half of the year. So it's just self-inflicted wounds, unfortunately, right now. And then Omar says, thanks, Seth, for the stream. You're very welcome. Thanks for coming in. And let's see, do we have anything else pop up as far as questions? I don't see any more questions. So I think we might call it a day. We'll see what happens later on this week. We're still waiting on, I think we got a couple miners maybe reporting their monthly updates here. But yeah, and then hi, Seb, I invested in Qubit, quantum computing. Are they a good play to power miners? Power miners, I don't think you'll see a quantum computer mining Bitcoin here anytime soon. But there's a lot of definitely hype and investment going into quantum computing as well. So best of luck to you there, my friend. All right, we're going to call it a day. So we'll see what happens later on this week. We'll see what Bitcoin does tomorrow, what the miners do tomorrow as well. We'll look at some other stats that I have on the miners and things like that, as far as hash rate compared to the network hash rate. Other things as well that we can take a look at for comparison on those guys. So we'll start going through that this week as well into next week, and then cover anything else that happens. Hopefully we get some more good news from the miners, from Bitcoin in general, more adoption, more things that we want to see all the time. But yeah, we are where we are right now. We're still not at the end. We're in the middle somewhere. I think the best is still yet to come for us. Fingers crossed. Yeah, got to be patient, unfortunately. All right. Love you all. Thank you so much for coming in here as always. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. It's going to get cold in some regions here in the United States. It's going to get cold by me tomorrow and Tuesday as well. So I'm expecting the miners probably to curtail a little bit here as well. And this week possibly as well. Oh, thank you for reminding me. Markets are closed tomorrow. That's right. It's, oh gosh, it's President's Day. So markets are closed. So we'll see what happens regardless. We'll see what Bitcoin does, I guess. And we'll cover anything else that we have. All right. Love you all. See you guys tomorrow. Bye.